I'm not teaching, I'm publicly learning, but hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test part 32, the Wars of the Roses. While doing leg stability training and participating in the exercises instead of others. But we will do mainly the Wars of the Roses. In 1455, so we have quite some dates about 1455. You know, in 1400, they are the official documents and the royal court and the parliament started to use English. Around 1400, Geoffrey Chaucer published the Canterbury Tales, and other dates important are in 1415 there was the Battle of Agincourt in the 116 years long 100 years wars between England and France, and in 1314 there was the Battle of Bannockburn, in which the army led by Robert Bruce defeated the English, and we know that in 1284 the Statute of Rhuddlan by King Edward I declared Wales as part of England, and we know that in 43 Emperor Claudius successfully occupied half part of Britain, and that in 55 before Christ Julius Caesar tried it, which the Romans left in 410, and the Middle Ages started in 467, and that they ended in 485. And there was something else interesting. Yes, King John in 1215 had to sign the Magna Carta, and that established the idea that also the king is subject to the law and other things. Yes, the plague in 1348, we haven't repeated that number so often. In 1348, a disease known as the Black Death, a form of the plague, wiped out a third of the population of England, of Britain. Yeah, that's mostly it. What do you have to date? So we can now continue with in 1455. I just read, because I got back, that in the mid-1450s the English left France. In 1415 there was the Battle of Agincourt, in which King Henry V's vastly outnumbered army defeated the French in 1450. And when I said that contrary to the unexpected win of King Henry V's army against the French, they just left 40 years later, in the 1450s. So the English left France in the 1450s. And in 1455, which is in the middle of the 1450s, a civil war was begun to decide who should be King of England. Well, I'm not going to say anything, but these two dates fit together. A civil war was began to decide who should be King of England. So a civil war is not a war led by a country invading or something like that, or two countries leading war, but inside of the country, and the people are not able to live together as they should, treat others with fairness and look after themselves and the family and so on. But there are oftentimes it's more complicated than just that they can't live peacefully together. So civil war is an internal war. That is, the people inside of a country can't get to one compromise to live together, and there are different reasons for a civil war. But basically it means that people can't get along in one country. Sometimes with better reasons, sometimes with worse reasons. A civil war is an internal war. So that started in the 1455, and this war, the War of the Roses, was about who should be King of England. So that was the reason why some people decided that they have to kill each other. If you just take the sentence, they couldn't decide who the King of England is. It was fought. Let's go on to the next exercise. Well, the first exercise. We are firstly warming up. We're going on, breathing in and out. Again in and out. And again in and out. One more round. Breathe in and out. Now close the legs. And we're doing a little bit of stretching. We're bringing one leg back. We're grabbing the ankle. And we don't go back or something like that, but try to have a neutral position with the spine. So when your knee comes, your leg will come further in front, but try to have a neutral position in the spine to actually stretch the quads. So don't make a hole in the spine. Now with the other leg, And try again not to make such a big curve and the numbers line. And the naked run with a pointed foot. Bring it high up and point the foot. And the other leg. And let's look what else happened. So in 1455, the people of England couldn't decide who should be the king, and it was fought between the supporters of two families. So there were two families, and each of them had supporter. The House of Lancaster, the House of York. We know something else about houses. We know that the British Parliament has two houses. The House of Commons, in which the knights are and wealthy people who were elected by part of the population, and the House of Lords, in which the nobility, bishops, and wealthy great landowners are. Wealthy people are in the House of Commons. Wealthy people of a city are in the House of Commons. Great landowners in the House of Lords, who would make that decision. And we know something about the Scottish Parliament. In the Scottish Parliament, there are three estates: the House of Lords, the estate of Lords. I don't know if we ever have said what we are. Three houses or estates. So here's both said. Here in the top section we have a similar parliament developed in Scotland. It had three houses called estates. So it are three houses which are called estates. So these are the Lords, the Commons, and the clergy. And now we have two other houses, but they have nothing to do with the parliament. House is just a term to describe parties in this context. And parties here does not mean a festivity. So the House of Lancaster and the House of York. We know something else about York. The Minister of York has stained glass. And we know about York, no, nothing else. That's all we know about York so far. So the House of York and the House of Lancaster. Is it pronounced Lancaster? The House of York and the House of Lancaster. This war was called the Wars of the Roses because the symbol of Lancaster was the red rose and the symbol of York was the white rose. So they had beautiful pictures. The one was a white rose and the other one a red rose. Two families. The York, can we somehow remember that? Lancaster a red rose and York a white rose. York is a bit like a W. York a white rose and Lancaster, it's not perfect. York white rose and Lancaster a red rose. York, oops, synonym of Y or this and the W. York, the White House of York, the white rose, and Lancaster, the red rose. And after the next exercise, I'm going to show you a picture of two roses, and there's a third one next to the two. That is already a little indicator of what may be written in the following sentences of its section. We're having the legs standing together, and now we're placing one hand on the tummy and one on the back, and we're lifting the leg up, and we're having a straight leg now bent at the knee, and we're having a flexed foot. And if the quad cramps, then bring it again up and point the foot, and try to bring the leg higher. And don't fall back. Try to be straight up with the back. Try to bring the leg higher. And control with hands that you don't fall back. Try to bring the leg higher. And now bring it up. And over the other one. The leg up. Straight leg. Flexed foot. Control that you don't fall back, or that you have control that you have a neutral position of the spine. You should bring the leg higher. And bring it up. Now to the picture of our roses. There we have on the right side the picture of a red rose of Lancaster, and we have one of a white rose of York, because I'm already here. But later the white rose of the House of Tudor is here, that one. Now maybe we can explain what the House of Tudor is. The war ended with the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. We know some other battles. We know the Battle of Bannockburn, 1314. Robert the Bruce against the English, or Robert the Bruce's army. We know of Battle of Agincourt in 1415, the English against the French in the 100 Years' War. And these are the big battles we know. Just two big, the Battle of Hastings, 1066, William the Duke of Normandy, and when after he won again Harold the Saxon King in the Battle of Hastings in 1066, he had become the King of England, and was then called William the Conqueror. 1066 Battle of Hastings. But we have just three battles. Now we have a fourth one. And it is the Battle of Bosworth Field. Bosworth Field, 1485. The Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. So, the war ended with the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. We're going to do the next exercise while they're going to read on. We're having a standing leg with the toes pointing to the outside, the other legs with the heel on the ground, and we're lifting that heel off the ground and placing it again on the ground. The whole movement happens from the hips and the gluteus medius. So just lift the heel up and place it again on the ground. In 1485 there was the battle in Bosworth Field. It was the war-ending battle of the War of the Roses between the House of York with the white rose and the House of Lancaster with the red rose. Both families had supporters, and it was about who became the King of England. King Richard III of the House of York was killed in the battle, and Henry Tudor, the leader of the House of Lancaster, became King Henry VII. Three new kings. We're changing the leg. Same exercise. We know of King Alfred the Great. He unified the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms in England. Did we have a name for that? Not a name, a date for it. No, we did not have a date for it. It was something around 800. And we have King Culloch of Elphin, under whom the Scots united. We have Boudica, the Queen of the Iceni. We have Emperor Julius Caesar, Emperor Hadrian, with Emperor Claudius, and then Emperor Hadrian. And we have a few more. We have King John, who had to sign the Magna Carta in 1215. And we have King Edward I, who in 1284 made the Stewart of Rutland and made Wales have this declaration a part of England. It took 200 years to actually do it in practice. Okay, now we have new kings. We have King Richard III, who died in the Battle of Bosworth in 1485. And then we have Henry Tudor. Just Henry. Okay, he had the name Henry. Okay, I think I thought King Henry VII was just completely just name. No, his name was Henry Tudor. Okay, his name was Henry Tudor, and he was the leader of the House Lancaster with the red rose, and then he became King Henry VII. The next exercise, that is the most complex one. We're having a standing leg. We have a leg is with the flexed foot in the air, and we're bringing the flexed foot back, and we're trying to be tall up with the back. We're trying to have a good and tall standing leg to bring the pressure directly onto the biceps femoris of the hamstrings. Try to go down in one line with the upper part of the body. Try to have a tall standing leg. And a few more. And the last one. Now with the other leg again. A good standing leg. The other leg is in the air. Both legs are mostly straight. Flexed foot of the leg which goes back. The leg goes straight back. The upper part of the body goes straight back. Try not to fall down into the hip or to fall down in the abdomen. And try to have a tall standing leg to bring the pressure onto the biceps femoris of the hamstrings. And the last one. And the last one. And now we're closing the closing exercise. We're breathing in. And out. Again in. Out. Last round in. And out. And again in. And out. So, we're closing with recapitulating what we had about the War of the Roses, and then we're going to make a part 2 for the War of the Roses. So in 1455, two families were fighting, the House of York with the white rose and the House of Lancaster, the Red Rose, about who should become the King of England. Both had supporters, and in the Battle of Bosworth 1485, that is 30 years in the verse, there was the war-ending battle, the Battle of Bosworth. King Richard III of the House of York was killed, and Henry Tudor of the House of Lancaster. Can you remember that somehow? Henry Tudor became then Henry VII. I don't have time. Thank you very much, and until next time.